All statements by the crew are opinions. Listener discretion is advised. Adult content, be wary. And we don't condone ship bashing. These are just our opinions.
No babies on deck. Welcome to Canon Misfire. I'm your Captain Sam.
First mate Alyssa.
And we're the only ones because this is a topic we both like very much. This is going to be a little different from our normal episodes. It's a type of bonus episode where we will be talking about canon breakage. But we hated that title, so we're now calling it Busted Canon.
Hey, same thing, but better.
This is when we break the canon to talk about ships that we enjoy a little bit more than the canon ships that we normally talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly because we, as much as it is, it's so hard to contain yourself when we, love our ships so much.
So here's some bonus content. So if you are not interested into ships that are not canon, I don't recommend listening to these episodes. If you've not watched Harry Potter, I don't recommend that either. There's going to be a lot of spoilers. And if you do like different ships, but you don't like the ships that we end up talking about, don't worry yourself. Just don't deal with it.
Pause right here. Don't even.
Yeah, you can watch one of our other mini episodes, and you can comment and follow us wherever you may find this podcast.
This is just fangirls being fangirls.
100% so. Okay, so we're going to get it right out of the way. I ship Drary.
Yeah, same.
If you're not sure what Drary is the combination of Harry and Draco's name smashed together to make a beautiful little
Harry Draco.
Little ship name. And Harry Draco is one of those older ships that's been around since the beginning of Harry Potter and has just grown over the years. I ship a very particular type of Harry Potter that we'll get into Drary ship. And we'll just begin with some information about Harry that breaks the canon with our own headcanons.
Oh, lots of headcanons. So this is definitely a non-factual basis. Just be prepared.
Okay, so we'll begin with the first book. We'll go book by book like we did with our Harry Potter episode beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes.
They're babies.
Little babies. Little angry babies.
I don't have any headcanons other than the fact that I think Harry Potter, in my mind, works better as an Indian boy, a half Indian boy,
mm-hmm.
half British, white, Caucasian boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only thing. So from that point on, I'll be talking about all my ships from the point of view as Harry being a person of color.
Yeah, and I also like headcanon Harry as a POC too, but in a different kind of context. I see him as black and white mixed with Lily being white and then James being black.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I do see James as the Indian, and I see Lily as the British white, because then it makes his relationship with the Dursleys more interesting.
See, that's what I think too. It just makes sense for me, and it also just adds a lot of color to a very whitewashed movie.
Yeah, very whitewashed. I like to imagine that the there's I don't know if it's so much now, but definitely when I was learning about England and all this other stuff, there is sort of this problem with people of color in their society, but specifically people of color from the South Asian countries and other sites of countries. So I picked Indian because I felt like it was something I knew a little bit more about, but not as much. And I could kind of learn the culture as I make stuff for my headcanon. So
yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And for me, coming from super white, super background, I know that there's a lot of things that I can mess up and everything too, but I think something that I am more familiar with also is mixed. I knew a lot of mixed friends,
I be the mixed friend.
Okay, you're not my only mixed friend, but it's basically just that kind of thing. I didn't want to touch on something that I knew I'd really mess up, and I also feel that's when you read a book, you just naturally put a certain image into your mind, and that's what I saw.
Same for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see that the Dursleys might have been slightly racist.
I definitely see them as racist.
Yeah, as and that's why they had him sleep under the stairs and stuff. I mean, that could be a point of like how
The
much
wizard thing,
how much
too.
how much she hated wizards and she hated her sister for doing what she did.
I
and
feel like
being
it adds a
perfect.
lot more like dimension though too, like more than just like magical prejudice, like adding
It's
like
straight
real
up
world
race prejudice. Yeah.
a lot of both.
So in that book, there's some interesting. Well, I'm talking for movies because I don't really know the books, but there's some interesting like little tidbits of him and this blonde boy having issues. But in the books, I know he meets a wizard boy in the tailor shop, if I'm correct, and that little boy turns out to be Draco, and they both don't know who each other are, but they both know they're wizarding boys about to go to Hogwarts, and they sort of have a little moment about that.
I love that.
And then when he straight up sees the boy again, the way I see it in the movie, it's like a devoid of conflict where this he's a fucking classist and he's terrible. And that's like Harry's mindset, like, oh, you just made fun of my new friend. I fucking hate you.
Yeah, no, I'm like definitely with that. I love that in the book, and I feel like the movie, like I like as much as things I don't want to be like, oh, should have put that in the movie, but as a Drury fan, I wish it was because it's so good.
There's no need for it, but I liked it a lot. So
are we going to Chamber of Secrets?
Yeah, in the Chamber of Secrets movie, he's definitely sorted out Harry as the boy he's gonna pick on.
Yeah.
But also he sees Harry as like the boy who can do no wrong and is constantly like he gets out of trouble really easily. And that's why in the movie he snitches on them so that Harry finally gets in trouble, but then it backfires and he's now in trouble with them. I thought that was really interesting, and that they both get paired off.
Yes.
To go into the dark woods together.
And he's so scared.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I think it's heckin' cute.
Because you, like, see these, like, I know we're gonna get this, like, the bully and, like, the kid.
Oh, he's such a bully, yeah.
Yeah, and he is, for sure. Like, it's definitely not good to start, like, romantic at this part.
Oh,
like,
definitely not.
But, like, it's definitely, like, interesting to just see that dynamic of, like, oh no, now we're, like, stuck together in the forest, and I'm so scared. It's just so cute.
Because I've never had to defend my fucking weak-ass self.
I mean, just, like, objectively, that's just, like, a funny concept, and then it's just so cute. Talk a little bit with, too, like, with the book, Harry goes, like, at the very beginning into Knockturn Alley, and Borgin and Burke's, like, he's actually stuck in the cupboard. Lucius is, like, buying something at Borgin and Burke's, and Draco's just kind of, like, rummaging around, almost catching Harry, like, in the cupboard, which is just so funny, because he's just, like, that Potter and his broomstick and all this, and, like, you know that, like, Lucius has, like, heard this a million times. I just think it's just a funny little detail, just, even outside of school, like, this boy is already, like, obsessed. But I just love that little aspect in the book, and there's just so much. It's just such a good, so good.
The one thing I like about in the movies that I noticed, I totally missed this, but you mentioned it.
Oh,
and I feel like a lot of what I pick up from the ship, it happens, but it's not mentioned.
Yeah, so, definitely with that ship.
Oh, God.
Yeah, third one. Let's get to it.
So, the Prisoner of Azkaban, he's definitely a terror. And I like when he gets punched by Hermione.
Yeah, it's so satisfying.
It's so good.
Even as a Draco fan, oh my god.
Yes. It's almost like he gets put in his place real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, God. There's not a lot in the movies with Draco.
Yeah, I would say as far as the third one, like, he's just a whiny... He's a whiny little bitch who got hit by Buckbeak and is just awful.
Yeah, he's the reason that, like, Buckbeak was about to be put down. And I think a lot of it I internalize headcanonly as him not being able to deal with his place in his world. So he's always been like the center of attention. He's an only child. His parents dote on him. They give him whatever he wants. And now he's put in a situation where he's around other people. There's this boy that's more important than him. And it's like, his dad is like obviously confounded with himself. He's got a weird
relationship with Lucius,
yes,
for sure.
And it definitely fuels a lot of his anger towards Harry. And then in this movie, you can tell that, like, it obviously has hit its peak where he's fed up with Harry at this point, and he's fed up with his position in the school. He should be higher than where he is, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So in the Half-Blood, in the Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire.
He's the one who starts putting out those buttons, the Harry Stink buttons.
God,
Like,
everybody is so funny in that movie. Oh, and that's like also the ferret one.
Oh yeah, so he gets turned into a ferret.
I feel like he's really getting like put in his place in this one.
I think he was mostly comedic comedy in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know the buttons are more of a thing in the book, and they do prove that he's the one who put them out, and he's the one who was causing this. But I think it was just him taking bullying to a more artsy, crafty point of view.
Yeah, no, seriously, like this book is also just more of Draco's same old shit. Like he's still a pain, but like Harry has more important things to worry about. He's got like this like life and death situation.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had that before, but this time he knows he's in it.
Yeah.
So he's like, sorry, I can't even pay attention to you, little like brat.
I like how in the Order of the Phoenix, which is the next book, Draco he tries to elevate himself to a higher position, so he's taking his snitching game up a notch, and he's like on Umbridge's like fucking anti-whatever squad or whatever.
Yeah.
Inquisitive squad or whatever the fuck it was called, and I think one of the books he becomes head boy. I think he becomes a prefect for Slytherin, and then he becomes head boy.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't mention this but in the movies at all, but in the books he's supposed to be, like, fairly intelligent. He's almost on Hermione's level.
Yeah.
Like, he gets good grades and everything, and I think it's what's expected of him because of his family.
Yeah, you really don't see much of, like, that side of Draco. Everything's, like, really implied, but you see that he at least, like, wants to put an effort in for potions.
Yes, he's, like, really good at what he does and all this other crap.
He always wants to be the best, so you can tell that he's, like, trying.
He tries his hardest, yeah. He's an interesting character.
He really is. And it's so interesting watching everything from, like, Harry's perspective. Because, I think my biggest thing that I like about the two of them is that they're, like, foils. And, like, in different circumstances, they could have been friends.
Yeah.
Like, if Harry was in Slytherin. It's interesting. There's so much possibility with this ship.
Yeah.
But,
especially headcanon-like.
Oh, yeah. It's just one of those things that's just so interesting to see from their different perspectives. Like, in a lot of ways, Draco's everything that, in a lot of ways, what Harry wanted. A loving family, money.
Yes.
And then, like, same thing with, like, Harry. Like, Draco wants fame. He wants, like, all of
attention and stuff like that.
Which Harry has. It's just interesting because they, like, complete each other with that whole aspect. But I could talk forever. I'm sorry. I love it. Where were we? Sixth book is the book.
The book. Oh my god. And the Half-Blood Princess is when all the shit goes down. Like, we got Harry and Jenny having issues. We got Ron and Hermione having issues. And then we have that fight. That fucking fight where Harry actually attacks Draco. And I think it's the first time he ever uses a spell without knowing the consequences. And he actually maims him. He gives him scars on his chest. And Draco's, like, dead on the floor. I don't know how it goes in the book, but in the movies, it's like a bloody battle that both had consequences, where they were both aiming to maim each other. Harry actually does it, and you can tell he instantly regrets for hurting a person, because he's too good of a hero.
Yeah.
He's a protector. He doesn't harm.
Yeah.
So that caused issues. And in my headcanon, oh my god, that fucks him up. He has, like, it's not per se PTSD, but he definitely has nightmares where he can see himself almost killing Draco.
Yeah.
Because he knows he has that power within him. And a lot of it is, like, fueled by the Dark Lord that was inside him. But just to know that he can do that is enough to cause him to never cast another spell to actually maim a person ever again.
So what I really like about the sixth book, honestly, is that the roles are reversed in a sort of way. Like, it's always kind of been, like, Harry doesn't care, but, like, Draco's obsessed. And, like, in a, like, weird, like, sort of, like, I want you to give me attention, and I want to be on your level with, like, Draco beforehand. But this one, Draco has way more bigger things on his mind. He could be dead. He's a Death Eater now. Like, he's in the shit. He's, like, done. And this drives Harry wild. I know I'm maybe pushing, like, some things, but it's easy to see that, like, even from, like, a non-shipper perspective, like, he has a weird fascination with Draco.
I think he feels, like, I remember him being like, Draco's up to something. There's something he's doing, and I don't know what it is. And everyone's like, dude, can you just leave him alone? Yeah. He's not doing anything. He's not even being a dick this year. Like, just leave him alone. The reason he's not being a dick is because he has bigger things to deal with. And he is up to something. And Harry is right. But Harry is, like, constantly has to figure out what's going on. So he's, like, trailing him and stuff like that. I do remember that in the movie. And I think, I think the 6th book is finally headcanonly. I don't know if there's a lot of evidence for me to have this headcanon, but this is definitely the book where Draco makes the turn. Mm-hmm. Not only turn into a Death Eater, but turn to, he's going to do whatever it takes to survive. For him and his family to survive the torture that they've put upon themselves with the Dark Lord.
I feel like they definitely met their maker in this one. Like, talk anymore. Now it's real, and he really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing he can do. He promised. He wants to prove himself for his family. His family's scared to death for him.
Yes.
Which is so interesting also.
Especially his mother.
Yeah, in the book, it's like the whole chapter. That's in the movie, too.
Yeah. Where she's like, okay, Snape, you're going to have to do what you have to do to protect my son.
I mean, just, like, also headcanon, I love, like, the Black family. Like, I love Narcissa and Bellatrix and, like, yeah. I mean, I love villains. You can learn this about me. I love them.
But, like, Draco, we've known from the beginning, has the strongest family. Mm-hmm. I mean, say as much as you can about the Weasleys. They're great. But Draco's family is like, we are here and suffering together. And it will always be the 3 of us. Even Narcissa with her sister, as crazy as her fucking sister is, she still cares about her sister.
The family bonds, it's such an interesting dynamic. Because you don't see that. Like, usually you see, like everything's shitty for the villains. But the fact that they have that family connection that Harry doesn't have.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
It's so good. And then in the Deathly Hallows...
Ooh.
Oh. So Draco does go to school during that time, but they don't show school because Harry's not at school. Mm-hmm. So they don't really tell you what's happening there. But you can definitely, like, when he got taken to the mansion, when they got captured, Draco actively lied about knowing who Harry was.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, I don't know if it's in the books, but in the movie when Harry and Draco are fighting over the wands that Draco has gathered, it almost seemed like Draco put his wand with the others on purpose so that Harry could take all of them.
You know what's interesting is that they don't do that. I feel like in the book they really try to rush it, like rush that whole scene that you don't really catch that.
Yeah.
But I think that is interesting that you caught that in the movie.
I think in the movie it had to be that way to
because you can visually see it.
Yeah, so you can visually explain why Harry has Draco's wand.
You know, that works so well, like with the book thing. I'm like flailing over here. Of all the wands, like, it's specifically said in the book that Draco's wand is like almost perfect to his.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, if that doesn't say anything.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's like the wand chooses the wizard. It's a reluctant, but the wand, like, Draco's wand chooses Harry. So I'm just like, yes. And that would make sense because technically in your headcanon, Draco gives it to him. Yeah. That would make sense for the wand to change ownership that way.
Yeah, because that's one of the ways it happens. It's either by disarming or by releasing.
Yeah, but I think it also makes sense, too, that if the owner wills that wand go to that next person, I feel like it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, even more so, like, now you're my owner because he wanted it. And that's why I'm like, I could totally see that being, like, a real thing that he did. So I'm just like, yes. And I mean, of course, it's not, like, a perfect fit, but he's just like...
This is good enough. It's better than the thing you have at this moment.
But it also did have that wand chooses him, which I just thought, oh, it's so good. I love Jerry so much.
Holy shit. And then also that happens in the movie when Harry is perceived as dead. Obviously, Draco's mother, Narcissa, lies about him being dead. But then they carry his body to all the faculty and students at the school. They show this dead Harry, and everyone's like, oh my god, Harry's fucking dead. And they ask for people to come forward, and Draco goes with his family, obviously. But it's shown beforehand that he was with the other students, and it almost seems like he was done. He felt like by giving Harry his wand, that was it. He was going to destroy the problem that was tormenting his family and himself. And Harry's the only one who could do it. He truly believed in that, but with Harry being dead, it almost seemed like he'd given up, and the least he can do is die with his family. And I was like, oh, headcanon mine was going fucking crazy.
I want to rewind a little bit too, like to the fiend fire, like in the room of requirement. You know, when like
Draco... God, the fucking requirement room. I forgot. Yes.
Yeah, but like I feel like also in the book that one's like, I don't know, it feels like a little more like as a shipper, just like hearing, like just reading the words Draco grips on tightly to Harry, and you're just like, ooh, Oh, good shit. But, like, it's just really funny, though, because, like, I feel like also that moment, Draco's constantly switching allegiances, in a way. It not, like, he wants survival, mostly, but I think he's also, like you said, too, like, he's kind of, like, rooting for Harry a little bit, too, in a way. Just because it's, like, he needs somebody to defeat the Dark Lord, if anything. At the bare minimum. Yeah. But, like, I do think that there's a respect there.
Oh, I totally forgot where they shared a broomstick. Oh, my God.
That's what I'm saying. Like, in the book, it's, like Draco
in the movie, it's fucking rushed. Like, they get in, the fire happens, they go in there and saves his enemy, they get the fuck out, and I think there's, like, supposed to be, like, a moment of, like, we both understanding that this is war and that's enough. Mm-hmm. But they don't really touch on it. Because as soon as they get out of the room, Draco runs off really quick with his group. Mm-hmm. And they don't show you what happens to them.
I mean, just as shipper, you read Physical Contact and you're like, ooh, yes. But yeah, no, it's...
Draco, in the end, gets married to...
I don't remember her name.
I totally forgot. Hold on, let me look it up. Draco Malfoy wife. Let's see who he marries.
Astoria
Greengrass. And Astoria Greengrass is interesting because if we want to continue on to the Cursed Child...
J.K. Rowling.
No. Okay. If we want to continue on to...
See, I don't know nothing about the Cursed Child.
I only know a little bit because I kind of ship Squirtus and Albus. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to know what happened to Draco and his family because they only say, oh, and Draco married Astoria Greengrass. And I'm like, who the fuck is that? Mm-hmm. And apparently it's the younger sister of one of his schoolmates from his year.
Oh, okay. And I am glad that he didn't end up with Pansy Parkinson because how many relationships from high school last?
Oh, God. We have enough in this book to begin with.
Yeah. So I really liked that, at least.
I think Pansy got kind of the shit end of the growth stick because she's the foil to Hermione a little bit in the beginning because she's the one who picks on her the most.
Yeah.
Then she's kind of like non-existent because Hermione gets hot. And then that's kind of the end of her. And she supposedly has a crush on Draco and is one of Draco's biggest fans, best friend or whatever. But, like, he never really cared for her in a way that mattered. So I understand why he didn't end up with her. Yeah. I headcanon that they're best friends. I headcanon him as gay. And he needs a good friend who he could tell that to because he obviously can't confide that into his family because of how strict they are about his upbringing.
Crabbe and Goyle aren't.
They're people who are expected to be around him.
Yeah, it's his status thing. And that's why I think I like that headcanon too with, like, Pansy because he does need that. God, that boy needs a friend.
Oh, God, he needed a friend. Astoria Greengrass has, like, this disease and, like, she switched sides. She was a Slytherin who, like, opens up to being more progressive and he becomes more progressive as a way to combat the past that he deals with. Mm-hmm. But he kind of gets, like, a sad end where she ends up dying and he has to raise his son by himself and he doesn't really have a career. He's, like, sitting on old money with nothing to do but collecting artifacts. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel sad for him. Like, he deserves more. Now, that's interesting only from the point of view if I imagine Harry as gay.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I imagine Harry as bisexual because of all the women that he had a choice with. I think Harry also had many bounty choices of men that he could have been attracted to in the books. Mm-hmm. They were just never taken as that way.
And, like, as a bisexual, honestly, like reading Harry's journey, and, you know, like, you always put yourself in the shoes of, like, a protagonist, but compared to other things, like, it really felt like how I grew up. Which I feel like when you're that young, you don't really have time to, like, really, like, think about it. And Harry has so much going on. So in his shoes, like, as a bisexual, I saw his attraction to
Cedric.
I saw Crumb, yeah. Like, it's one of those things. It's like you see that, like, just, like never with Ron, just I'm gonna say that. But, like, you just, or, like, even, like, Ron's older brothers, though, honestly, like, he just had that, like, that interest.
He had this fondness for other males.
That wasn't, like, platonic.
Yeah, and I'm one of those few people where I don't think he ever was truly attracted to Draco.
Harry and Draco did have a lot going on that I feel like even like a little, like, a crush on Draco's end, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I headcanon that Draco has always been sexually attracted to Harry, and definitely as the years got going and it got longer, he potentially saw a chance where if he didn't have fucked up so much when he was young, he could have been with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, the shit hits the fan and he doesn't have time to worry himself with romance in any way, shape, or form because of what's going on with the war.
And he has, and like, they both have to learn. They both have to grow.
Yeah, exactly. They're not full people by the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And with the time skip, I feel kind of cheated of their development of what happened to them after the war.
See, even from like a non like shipper perspective, just them being friends, I feel like would have been good.
Because like then they had that whole like head nod in the movie, like, oh yeah, we went to school and we were enemies, but now we're kind of okay with each other, just okay. I think if they would have potentially been people who had talks or something.
Because, yeah, you
something
really...
to just patch up that problem. But I didn't deal with bullying the same way everyone did, and maybe not to the same extent that everyone did.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't see it as that bad. Maybe to someone else that would have been not possible. Because of how tormenting Draco was to Harry. I mean, he fucking broke his nose in that one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fucking bad.
Oh, yeah.
But then I kind of feel like in the wizarding world, breaking your limbs almost seems like nothing. Draco broke his nose. Well, Harry almost killed him. Like, you could say a lot about what happened in the past to them. But I feel like potentially my headcanons are more in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the future it works off.
I feel like with Draco, like, there is a lot of things that you can work on. Like, he feels like he's such a fleshed out, interesting character that it just would be just...
That's just in the background.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, it's like, just to, like, see, like, from his perspective just a little bit, because, like, it's just, like, that pure-blooded family, that, like, all of that baggage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
Definitely comment if you want to, like, if you want to protest that that's not correct and that doesn't work out, give your experience with this ship. We'd love to hear all of that and, like, maybe talk about it again, but maybe more constructive with the comments.
Mm-hmm.
We can possibly bring someone on who might be interested in telling us why they don't feel that works, maybe. We're interested in all types of things, so just... comment below, subscribe, listen to other ones.
Please give us attention.
Give us attention. Listen to wherever you may find this podcast and have fun on the shipping seas.
No babies on deck.
No babies on deck.